Chapter 426, Vowing Not to Let the Matter Drop. Blue City, Sizemore Hot Spring Center. Warm mist curled up above the hot spring pool, as four young men comfortably sat in the four directions, merrily chatting and laughing. On the pool table beside them were a red wine and ashtrays, while two young girls wearing bikinis stood at the side, ready to pour tea and wine at any time. "Brothers, how is our Blue City's hot spring? Does it feel good?" Long Zhenglin touched his big bald head while his other hand clamped a cigar, as he smilingly said while smoking. "Yup, this is great." Huang Xiu grinned and said, "Pity the boss of this place is unable to adapt to the circumstances, though. He's kind of insensible and doesn't allow hot chicks to hook up with us within this outdoor hot spring." Second young master Huang, "Can't you live without women?" Fei Shan smirked and said, "If you wanna play with hot chicks you gotta go to another place." Huang Su chuckled, "No argument here. Anyhow, forget it. Let's not speak about chicks. Zhenglin, you invited us this time, it wasn't just to have us bath in the hot spring, was it? Do you want us to help advertise your company in Blue City? Only my parents and brother Huang know who I am." Long Zhenglin gave a thumbs up and praised, "Anyhow, you all know my Long family has a quite amazing talent, my brother. So I don't need to worry about having to manage the family's business. Hence, I ran to Blue City to rely on myself. And since the three of you are the Blue City's local snakes, I wouldn't have been able to pull it off without your help. Well, count yourself smart, buddy." Huang Su smiled and said, "You can rest your worries. We'll help you pull in some businesses after we go back. Anyways, is your big brother busy at work recently? I haven't seen his shadow for a long time." "What else?" Long Zhenglin said with a smile, "We got quite a big business deal some time ago, so he has been busy working on it abroad. I went back home once or twice recently, and I haven't seen him either." "Your Long family has expanded overseas?" Huang Su was surprised. "That's my brother's work. I got nothing to do with it." Long Zhenglin smiled and said, "As for me, I kinda miss my days fooling around with eldest brother Tang. It was great." Right. Where's Tang Xiu now?" Fei Shan curiously said, "Why didn't you call him out today?" "Huh? How would he have free time? He gotta study as well as manage his business, so he should be in Shanghai now. Anyhow, I'm thinking of making a trip to Shanghai to him in a few days. Zhenglin, you gotta remember to call me when you go, buddy." Huang Su quickly said, "I kind of miss the wine his company produces. It's so damn unfortunate, I only got 2 bottles until now. That was also because I sent people to wait in line for days and nights in front of Blue City's exclusive store. It was kinda hard to line up to buy it." "Yeah, true that. I only got 2 bottles too." Fei Shan sighed, "Since we're acquaintances with Tang Xiu, we should be able to get through the back door and get tons of God's nectar." "God's nectar?" One of the other young men, who hadn't yet talked, had his expression suddenly changed, asking, "Are you talking about the magnificent Tang Group who produces the God's nectar? You seem to be a wine lover as well, young Master Chen." Huang Su said with a smile, "Yup, God's nectar is indeed produced by the magnificent Tang Corp, but unfortunately, the number produced is way too low." The young man narrowed his eyes and asked, "That Tang Xiu you were talking about, does he work at Magnificent Tang Corp? Or does he know someone from that company's top executives?" Huang Su, Fei Shan, and Long Zhenglin exchanged looks, as the trio then suddenly grinned and laughed. With a proud expression, Long Zhenglin said with a smile, "Young Master Chan, eldest brother Tang is none other than the Magnificent Tang Corp's big boss. Otherwise, why do you think he could make this Long Zhenglin recognize him as the eldest brother? The Magnificent Tang Corp's big boss is Tang Xiu? If anything, I had once sent some people to investigate the owner of that company, but with no results. Someone seemed to be intentionally concealing his identity. The young man was startled and said, "To think that the three of you would actually know him, this is kinda unexpected." "Well, you gotta introduce me to him when you got the time." "No prob." Long Zhenglin grinned and said, "I'll introduce you to him when I go to Shanghai." "Great," the young man said. Suddenly, his cell phone on the poolside table vibrated. After putting the cigar on the ashtray, he took the phone and looked at the caller's number. After connecting it, he asked, "What's up?" "Chief Chen, second young master, has just got beaten at the Long's dining hall's entrance." "What? How did it happen?" Chen Sirui frowned and asked in a deep voice. Second young master was pursuing a girl from Magnificent Tang Corp named Andy. He proposed her tonight at the Long's dining hall's entrance. But the result was that Andy refused and ignored him and proposed another man, instead. After some argument, that Andy beat second young master. Anyways, I only heard about it and didn't witness it myself. So I'm not too clear about the situation either. The opposite party's voice was transmitted from the phone. "I see." Chen Sirui shook his head and said with a forced smile. After hanging up, he dialed another cell number and then spoke, "Jian, go to Long's dining hall. Xian was just beaten there. Investigate this matter clearly first, how it happened and who was the person who provoked him, and then help him vent his anger." "Affirmative." A middle-aged man's voice came out of the phone. Upon hearing Chen Sirui's words, the trio wore curious looks on their faces. Long Zhenglin was even more curious, as he asked, "What happened, young Master Chin?" "It was my brother. He got beaten at Long's dining hall." Chen Sirui forced a smile and said, "I don't know about the details, though. That younger brother of yours is not bad, but he's kinda old school, and always do unnecessary things to solve everything." Long Zhenlin grinned, "I remember a few years ago when he got that yacht after fighting over it with someone else. He compelled that fella into a miserable state, yet he didn't want to let him go. I heard that that fellow was finally unable to hold any longer and left Blue City. That's the flaw in his character, but also his strong point as well." Chen Sirui sneered, "Almost all of our businesses in Star City have been handed over to him at present, and he also has done a good job at that too. However, I heard that, recently, he has bewitched and obsessed with a girl, an employee of the Magnificent Tang Corporation. To be honest, his character is too gentle if you ask me. Had it been me, if you can't use soft means to get something, just take it by force." "You said there's still a girl in the world who dares to reject your younger brother?" Long Zhenglin showed the white of his eyes and said, "It's quite strange, though. The girl couldn't be Kong Xia, right? She's eldest brother Tang's favorite girl, and I'm sure he'll definitely throw his fury toward whoever dares to make a move on her." "It's not Kong Xia." Chen Sirui shook his head and said, "Her name is Andy." "Andy?" Huang Su and Fei Shan vaguely felt that the name was familiar, though they couldn't remember where they heard it. Nevertheless, they no longer cared about the matter and continued joking and laughed. At Long's dining hall. Sitting inside the private box with a bluish and swollen face, Chen Xian had fury all over his face as he smashed everything on the coffee table, while the Long's dining hall's general manager, Zhang Tianfu, could only force out a bitter smile. ring. Looking annoyed, Chen Xian took the mobile phone and saw that the number was familiar. His brows immediately furrowed. After connecting the call, he asked, "Jian, what's up? Chief Chen told me to bring a few men to Long's dining hall. Where are you, second young master?" Chen Xian stared blankly for a moment, as his expression then changed a few times, before replying in a heavy voice, "I'm in the Long's dining hall, just come to the private box number 0602. "Understood." The call ended. Raising his head to Zhang Tianfu, Chen Xian then said in a heavy voice, "I told you not to be a busybody and meddle in tonight's business. Regardless of what happens, I'll take the responsibility." Zhang Tianfu forced out a smile and said, "Young Master Qin, your family also has shares in the Long's dining hall. We'll be greatly affected if you were to create too big a matter. I told you that no matter how big the trouble, I will take responsibility, didn't I?" Chen Xian scornfully said. After staying in silence for a while, Zhang Tianfu then slowly nodded and said, "Very well, then I'll go back to rest since I'm not feeling well tonight." "Just go," Chen Xian gloomily said. Long's dining hall, Jadewater Hall. A party hall that was sufficient to accommodate hundreds of people was now filled with festivity. Rows of long tables were filled with various dishes and drinks. There was also a red carpet at the end of a half-a-meter platform, along with a microphone and a big sound system at both ends of the platform. Inside the Jadewater Hall, dozens of senior executives of the magnificent Tang Corp were merrily chatting and smiling. Most of the topics revolved around their mysterious boss. "Chief Wei, you're the most senior among the executives in the magnificent Tang Corporation. You should have seen our big boss, right? Can you tell us about him?" A middle-aged man smiled while holding a cup of red wine. His question made the other 4 or 5 executives turn and look at Wei Zhongfeng. "Well, since the boss said he would come tonight, then he'll surely come, that's for sure." Wei Zhongfeng chuckled and said, "You can't wait to see boss and get to know him, do you?" It's 6:52 p.m. now. There's 8 minutes left to 7 p.m. I believe boss will surely come by 7. The middle-aged man smiled and said, "We know that we'll meet boss tonight, Chief Wei. But what we want to know is about his character, since we know nothing him. Just tell us a bit first, please, so we can prepare ourselves." "Well, our boss is easygoing, amiable and quite astute and smart," Wei Zhongfeng said with a smile. "All right," they replied and nodded. A few minutes later, as everyone was merrily chatting, Kong Xia and Andy came inside through the Jadewater Hall's side entrance. As Andy walked down the platform, Kong Xia directly went to the innermost platform, took the microphone and said, "Everyone, may I have your attention, please? It's 2 minutes to 7 p.m. Since our boss doesn't like to waste time, he'll be out right now. As of now, I'm asking everyone to give your best to applaud and welcome our magnificent Tang Corp's big boss. Tang. Xiao. _ clap, 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 _." Just right as Kong Xia's voice fell, continuous applause immediately followed. Chapter 427, Making Trouble. Walking inside from the side entrance, Tang Xiao looked at the company's top executives, wearing a faint smile on his handsome face. Although he basically didn't get himself involved in the operational management of the magnificent Tang Corp, however, he had read the information about the company's top executives on the profiles Kong Xia gave him. Therefore, he could remember everyone's names, positions, and their traits and characteristics. At this time, dozens of senior executives below the platform looked surprised, as it was hard for them to believe that Tang Xiao was their boss. After all, Tang Xiao was way too young, even though he was very charmingly handsome and energetic. "This is our boss? Chief Kong is joking with us, right? This young man looks to be in his early 20s. How could he be our boss? Is it a mistake or something? He can't be our boss, right? He's way too young. It's indeed rumored that our company's boss is very young. But to think he's this young, this is unbelievable. Looking at his age, he seems to be a university student, right? I heard that all the products of our corporation were researched and developed by our big boss. But he's too young. How could he develop so many products?" Amidst everyone's incredulous babbling, Kong Xia let out an enchanting smile as she stood in front of the microphone, and then looked at Tang Xiao. She then chuckled and said, "Everyone, you're not mistaken. He's our magnificent Tang Corp's big boss, Mr. Tang Xiao. I know that each and every one of you is very surprised and shocked. Regardless, however young he may be, he's indeed the magnificent Tang Corp's big boss. You should have already learned that our boss is usually very low-key and doesn't manage the operations of the company. It is not that he doesn't want to handle it, but it's because he's very busy. Apart from the magnificent Tang Corp's businesses, our boss also has another business to manage. Therefore, if you have the ambition to step on a bigger stage, our boss will give you the chance to have a more glorious and better future as well. And now, let's have a few words from our boss. While looking at Kong Xia, who gave him the speaking position, Tang Xiu immediately let out a smile. His eyes slowly swept across the audience, as he then said, I'm aware of the current development of Magnificent Tang Corporation. Likewise, I'm also very clear about the contribution made by all of you until now. I have to admit that I'm very relieved to have handed over the company management affairs to Kong Xia, so I hope that all of you can strictly adhere and obey her instructions. Shortly put, her commands are on my behalf and are my commands as well. If, in case someone dares to disobey orders or abuses your power to seek personal gain, you will be directly driven away from the Magnificent Tang Corporation. Speaking of this, those who are competent will be to stay, and those who are not will be dismissed. If you're competent and able, the Magnificent Tang Corporation will give you a bigger stage for you to showcase yourself, as well as present you with an infinite future. After Tang Xiu spoke up to there, he took a moment of silence, as he then slowly said once again, last but not least, I would speak to you about tonight's celebration banquet for our Magnificent Tang Corporation, for which is the recognition and approval of all of your achievements. Therefore, I hereby announce an increase in all senior executive salaries by 10%. Whoosh. Right as Tang Xiu's voice fell, dozens of top executives of the Magnificent Tang Corp looked pleasantly surprised as they looked at Tang Xiu with fervor and enthusiasm. For them, Tang Xiu's words of recognition were not at all on par with the money reward. They were all top executives of the Magnificent Tang Corp, and their salaries were already very good. Added with the bonuses, their salaries were already much higher than those of other big corporations. With the 10% increase now, the amount would surely increase even more. Clap, clap, clap. Unbeknownst to all as to whom took the lead, all top executives in the entire banquet hall suddenly applauded simultaneously, making a loud and thunderous sound. Following that, Tang Xiu gave his speech position to Kong Xia and left the stage. First of all, I'm grateful and thankful to the boss for his generosity. I believe everyone will work much more energetically in the future, right? Nevertheless, I hope that with the joint efforts of everyone in the future, our Magnificent Tang Corporation's businesses will grow bigger and bigger. I hope to see our company go international and expand into every corner of the world. Well, since tonight is our celebration party, without further ado, everyone can start to eat and drink. After saying that, Kong Xia motioned for Andy. With a smile hanging on the corner of her mouth, Andy came to the stage and said with a smile, well, Boss and Chief Kong didn't convey many words to us, but everyone must be very happy, right? Then, let tonight's party start. Soft and gentle crystal lights shined in every corner of the hall. As the Magnificent Tang Corp's boss, Tang Xiu was naturally the person most sought out by everyone. Almost every top executive of the company came to Tang Xiu, wanting to talk with him and show themselves before their boss. To everyone's surprise, Tang Xiu could accurately say each of their names, their positions, as well as recognized and encouraged them all for their works. Half an hour later, a beautiful music reverberated, as the lights in the banquet hall turned colorful, multicolored lights that were a common part of every party, the ball. Dancing. It was something Tang Xiu was not good at. Regardless, he still complied when Kong Xia invited him. Under Kong Xia's instructions, he only spent a small effort to turn himself into a qualified dancing partner. Bam! The Jade Water Hall's front door was trampled open, as more than 20 big men and a handsome young man aggressively stormed into the banquet hall, akin to ferocious wolves or tigers. The dancing top executives of the Tang Magnificent Corp had their expressions slightly changed. As the lights turned brighter, everyone's eyes landed on Chen Xian, who was walking throughout the front door. Tang Xiu slightly furrowed his brows and released Kong Xiao's supple, slender waist. He then strode toward Chen Xian, whose expression was full of provocation. Did you come here to make trouble? Tang Xiu's voice was chilling. Upon seeing Tang Xiu, Chen Xian looked like he saw a mortal enemy. His eyes turned scarlet, as tightly gripped his fists and ferociously glared at Tang Xiu. Yes. I came here to make trouble. Where's Andy? Get her here to see me. Andy walked over from the sideways. She then pointed at Chen Xian and shouted, Chen Xian. It seems like you were beaten too lightly by me, huh? Scram. Or else, don't blame me if I beat you once again. Chen Xian's eyes twitched, and the anger in his eyes turned thicker. He stared at Andy and scornfully shouted, Andy, there's something you don't know. This Chen Xian has never failed to get something I want, never. Tonight I'll give you a choice. Come with me, or I will smite this punk you call boss. You only have half a minute to think. You. Glancing at the big and powerful men Chen Xian brought, a timid look appeared on Andy's face. However, as she recalled that Tang Xiu was there, the look quickly vanished. Just as she was about to speak, Tang Xiu stopped her. While looking at Kong Xia, Tang Xiu chuckled and said, How much are the clothes I'm wearing now? Excluding the watch, all of them amount to almost 300,000. Clueless as to what Tang Xiu had in mind, Kong Xia still replied respectfully. Tang Xiu nodded, as his gaze then shifted to Chen Xian. He smiled lightly and said, Did you hear it? The price of my clothes is about 300,000 yuan. If it were to be stained by blood this evening, I'd have to throw it out. Furthermore, the clothes I'm wearing cost at least 100 times that. So, have you decided yet? Fail in provoking me, and not only will you make a fool of yourself, you'll also get retribution, plus 30 million in compensation for the loss of my clothes. Chen Xian laughed maniacally. Then, he said loudly, full of sarcasm, You're mad. Do you think you can be arrogant before me just because you're the magnificent Tang Corp's boss? Can't you see what kind of situation you are in now? You're just an idiot in my eyes. At this time, the magnificent Tang Corp's top executives looked furious. They were all the magnificent Tang Corp's top executives. For Chen Xian to humiliate their boss, it was akin to humiliating themselves. Although many of them knew that Chen Xian was powerful in Star City, but they didn't have a good impression of him. After all, Chen Xian had repeatedly come to the company just to pursue Andy, which caused many to loathe him. Additionally, their big boss, Tang Xiu, had just increased their salaries. Hence, many of them prepared to call the police. The slight smile on Tang Xiu's face receded like a tidal wave. He calmly observed Chen Xian's domineering and arrogant act, and then asked, Are you finished? I'm done. Let Andy choose by herself. Chen Xian scornfully sneered, Even if she chooses to go with me tonight, you will still end up beaten. You'll obediently lie on the hospital bed for months. Wow, I was originally hesitating as whether to give you a beating. Tang Xiu gave him a thumbs up and sighed, but since you said this, I won't stand on ceremony anymore. The moment he finished speaking, Tang Xiu instantly appeared in front of Chen Xian, his fist straightly punching Chen Xian's face lightning fast. A strong and agile figure suddenly appeared in front of Chen Xian. It was a man with stocky bear-like hips and tiger-like back, Qiu Jian, who was blocking Tang Xiu's punch with his own fists. Despite being strong, he staggered backward after his fists clashed with Tang Xiu's. His staggering posture hit Chen Xian behind him and almost made him fall to the floor. His complexion drastically changed, yet he stayed in shape and stood firmly still, his eagle-like eyes fixedly staring at Tang Xiu. Tang Xiu slightly furrowed his brows, as he stood still and didn't move in the slightest. He looked at Qiu Jian with astonishment. He had never thought that this guy's strength and speed would be unexpectedly this powerful. Had it been an average person with several hundred pounds weight daring to resist his punch, they would have easily been sent flying. However, he didn't hesitate even for a bit. After Qiu Jian's figure stood firm, he dashed forward again. This time, he increased his speed and strength and instantly appeared in front of Qiu Jian. He shot a strong punch at Qiu Jian's face. As the man was sent flying upside down, Tang Xiu raised his leg to kick Qiu Jian's waist. Right after Qiu Jian was sent flying, Tang Xiu's figure appeared once again in front of Chen Xian. You still dare to act arrogantly, despite bringing these worthless trash? Tang Xiu grabbed Chen Xian's shirt and immediately slapped him dozens of times. After beating him into a pig-headed state, he kicked him in the stomach and sent him flying backward 8 meters away, as he then landed and fainted on the floor. Get him. Upon seeing such a scene, the 20 big men brought by Chen Xian instantly stormed toward Tang Xiu. Chapter 428, Betrayal. Over 70% of the magnificent Tang Corporation's top executives were men. And due to Kong Xia's bold decision to use new people, nearly half of them were young men. Therefore, after the 20 big men stormed over, several people led by Scarblade Chang and Wei Zhongfeng chose to act together with Tang Xiu. They grabbed bottles and other items on the table and rushed to clash with the big men. Apart from the women and several timid men, the others went to join the group after a brief hesitation. The fight was especially messy and chaotic. Tang Xiu himself didn't expect that these top executives would act. Hence, he moved and acted quickly. Whenever one got injured, he immediately attacked the one who had injured him. After half a minute, the men brought by Chen Xian were all beaten, while 5 or 6 magnificent Tang Corporation's top executives suffered minor injuries. Shall we call the police, boss? Kong Xia had stopped many from calling the police. At this time, seeing that all the troublemakers had been subdued, she came to Tang Xiu and asked in a low voice. Don't call the cops. Tang Xiu shook his head and said, it isn't over yet. But we have people injured. Should we send them to the hospital? Kong Xia hesitantly nodded and asked. Shaking his head again, Tang Xiu then strode toward the injured. He immediately gave them treatment. Some of the top executives had bleeding wounds, and after Tang Xiu gave them simple treatment, their wounds stopped bleeding. Everyone, thank you for acting together with me. After today's accident, I now realize that our magnificent Tang Corporation's top executives are very united and cohesive. Mark my words, whoever dares to bully any of our people, everyone must join hands to deal with them. If the opposite party has a strong background, call me at once, I'm your boss, I'll support you. Tang Xiu looked around and heavily said. Having said that, he then went toward the unconscious Chen Xian. As he picked him up and slapped him a few times to wake him up, he then threw him to the floor as though a dead dog, and then said coldly, all right, let us continue our talk. You brought your men to disturb the magnificent Tang Corporation's party. What you did caused great damage to our company, some top executives of our company even got injured. The medical bills, the time wasted, the mental trauma, and another series of losses we have suffered, how will you compensate us? Chen Xian shook his head as watched his men all knocked on the floor, huddling and groaning everywhere. Disbelief filled his eyes, as he could hardly believe what he saw. He rubbed his eyes, making sure that he wasn't seeing mistakenly. However, the result was a disappointment, for his 20 men had indeed been completely beaten up. You. Chen Xian's gaze landed on Tang Xiu as he opened his mouth to speak, yet couldn't utter any words. He just arrogantly shouted saying that he would make Tang Xiu pay and make him lie down on the hospital bed for months. In the end, however, never had he imagined that it would turn into such a situation. Scornfully sneering, Tang Xiu grabbed a bottle of wine. He came to a big man next to Chen Xian and smashed the bottle on his head. The big man miserably screamed as Tang Xiu grabbed his head, and then smeared his clothes with the man's blood. Following that, he turned to Chen Xian and sneered, you must pay 30 million in compensation for my clothes. Added with the other losses, you must pay no less than 200 million in compensation. Otherwise, not one of you will leave this banquet hall tonight. 200 million? Chen Xian stared blankly, as his anger erupted yet again. He glared at Tang Xiu and got up with difficulty, bellowing angrily, "Surname Tang. Don't go too far. This father can take out 200 million, but do you think you can make it out alive to get it?" Pa. Tang Xiu slapped him again. He then faced Scarblade Chang and pointed at a nearby chair. After Scarblade Chang smilingly moved the chair over, Tang Xiu sat while crossing his legs, and then indifferently said, "Whether I'll be alive to spend it is my concern, you don't need to worry about it. I'll give you 2 hours. If you don't pay the 200 million by then, all of you will be beaten again in turns. After several beatings, I'm afraid you'll be lying in bed for a couple of months." Chen Xian collapsed on the floor, using one of his hands to cover his face and the other to prop him up off the floor. After trying hard to sit, a fierce, scowling look emerged on his handsome face as he yelled sternly, "Surname Tang. You really have balls. Just you wait, just you wait." After roaring, he directly took out his mobile phone and dialed a number, calling out loudly after it was picked up, "Big brother. The men you sent me were all beaten, and I got beaten up yet again. Tell me the address." "Long's Dining Hall, Jadewater Hall." "Got it." After hanging up the phone, Chen Xian glared hatefully toward Tang Xiu, shouting, "Just you wait, surname Tang. This matter is not over yet." Glancing at him with contempt and disdain, Tang Xiu turned to Scarblade Chang and said, "I don't want to hear him speak anymore. Knock him down." "Got it." As far as Scarblade Chang was concerned, he was of a powerful bandit background. He grabbed a bottle and directly smashed it on Chen Xian's head, making him faint directly. Sizemore Hot Spring Center. After having just entered the hot spring, a cold glint flashed in Chen Sirui's eyes, who was already dressed up. After making a phone call, he turned to look at Long Jinglin, Fei Shan, and Huang Xiu, and lightly said, "I got something to deal with, so I can't accompany you." Surprised, Long Jinglin asked, "Where are you going?" "My little brother got beaten up again." Chen Sirui said indifferently, "The men I sent him also got beaten by the opposite party. I have to go to Long's Dining Hall to see it myself." Long Zhenglin, Fei Shan, and Huang Su exchanged dismayed glances, yet wore strange expressions on their faces. They didn't expect that someone would able to clean up the people sent by Chen Sirui, and even so rampantly beat up Chen Xian. Who could have such boldness? Who could be so rampant? After pondering for a short while, Long Jinglin then said, "Young Master Chen, you are someone I, Long Jinglin, has invited to Star City. So your little brother is also my younger brother. If anything, I'm also a local snake of Star City, thus, I'll naturally give you a hand as well. Let's go to Long's Dining Hall together. I actually want to see the punk who dares to beat up the second young master of the Sameo group." Fei Shan and Huang Su also said in unison, "Yeah. We're all buddies. Your business is our business. Let's go together." After being silent for a moment, Chen Sirui then nodded and said, "If so, I thank you in advance." An hour afterward, 6 cars arrived at Long's Dining Hall's entrance. As Chen Sirui and the other 3 got off, 15 big men in black suits steadily came out from the cars one by one. "Young Master Long, Chen. Young Master Chen. Yuve come." At the gate, the security captain grinned as he strode forward to greet them. Giving him a cold snort in response, Chen Sirui ignored the security captain and walked inside. The group's fierce and aggressive posture aroused the curiosity of many visitors. Quickly, 2 big men pushed the Jadewater Hall's front door, as Chen Sirui, Long Zhenglin, and the others rushed in a threatening manner. Their anger turned fiercer after they saw the scene inside. The tall and sturdy Long Zhenglin shouted, "Who the fuck got the balls to eat the bear and leopard's heart? How dare you beat second young Master Chen? Get the fuck Suddenly, his voice came to a halt, his face turning blank. Huang Su and Fei Shan, who were about to curse as well, gaped and wore incredulous looks after they spotted Tang Xiu sitting on a chair inside. As for Chen Sirui, he didn't know Tang Xiu. He only saw his unconscious younger brother, Chen Xian, who had been beaten up, and looked at the 20 men sent by him lying down on the floor akin to dead dogs. Flames of anger burned crazily inside his heart. However, as a mature and calm person, he didn't get muddle-headed due to his fury. "Are you the one who injured my little brother?" Giving him a cold and detached look in response, Tang Xiu's eyes then moved to Long Jinglin's face and indifferently asked, Well, second young Master Long, you do get along well with others. Are you going to stand up for this Chen family too?" "No." Long Jinglin hastily shook his head. Chen Sirui stared blankly as he turned to look at Long Jinglin, who was shaking his head as hard as he could, and frowned deeply. Coldly snorting in response, Tang Xiu then looked at Huang Su and Fei Shan and also asked lightly, "How about the two of you? Do you also want to stand up for the Chen family?" Huang Su and Fei Shan exchanged looks. The duo forced out a smile at the same time, shaking their heads and saying in unison, "No, we got nothing to do with this matter." "Yeah. We won't meddle in, since you're involved in this matter." Again, Chen Sirui was stunned and stared blankly. He looked at the Long Jinglin, Fei Shan, and Huang Su with an incredulous expression, because the three of them were so eager to help him before, saying that they would help him clean up the enemies. But, to think they were now. Long Jinglin, Huang Su, Fei Shan. "What the fuck do you mean by this?" Chen Sirui asked with a scowl on his face. After staying silent for a short while, Long Jinglin suddenly said, "Young Master Chan, there's something you may not be aware of. Your younger brother provoked the magnificent Tang Corporation. Despite I myself not having something big, yet I also have a certain business under the magnificent Tang Corp's flag, and I also have small shares of the stock. So if your Chen family is going to deal with the magnificent Tang Corp, that means you will have to deal with me as well. If you really want to have a go, then don't blame me for clashing with you without sparing consideration for face." Stunned and shocked, Chen Sirui didn't expect that these people would be from the magnificent Tang Corporation suddenly. As if recalling something, his gaze then shifted toward Kong Xia, who was standing next to Tang Xiu, and his expression suddenly changed. "Are you Tang Xiu? Never thought that a nobody such as I would be known to young Master Chen." Tang Xiu said lightly, "Should I feel flattered and honored or something?" Chen Sirui finally understood why did Long Jinglin, Fei Shan, and Huang Su betray him. They had known Tang Xiu before, and even had a bit of friendship with him. In particular Long Jinglin, for he was definitely on Tang Xiu's side. If he were to clash with Tang Xiu, Long Jinglin would stand on Tang Xiu's side without a second thought. Chapter 429, Silently Swallowing Insult and Humiliation. Chen Sirui's mind raced. The anger on his face faded and was replaced by indifference. Though he knew nothing about Tang Xiu's background, he could guess that Tang Xiu was a very formidable adversary judging from Long Jinglin's, Fei Shan's, and Huang Su's attitudes. Hence, he didn't want to immediately act without thoroughly investigating Tang Xiu's background. But he was sure of one thing, he'd probably suffer a loss tonight. "Tang Xiu, although I don't know what is the conflict between you and my younger brother, I apologize if my younger brother is in the wrong. I have heard about you from Long Jinglin, Fei Shan, and Huang Su beforehand, so today, I'm thinking we need to lessen today's big issue to a small one and make it into a trivial matter." Chen Sirui calmly said after a moment of thought. Is he giving in? Dozens of the magnificent Tang Corp's top executives were somewhat unable to believe the current situation. They had seen Chen Sirui and Long Jinglin's group arrive with a threatening manner. They also expected a fight. But it was out of their imagination that Long Jinglin, Huang Su, and Fei Shan, who had followed Chen Sirui, would turn their backs on him. Moreover, they didn't expect that Chen Xian's big brother would actually choose to directly give in. At this time, they felt admiration for Tang Xiu. While calmly sitting on the chair, Tang Xiu observed Chen Sirui's indifference expression, and then replied with the same indifferent expression, "I'm not someone who likes causing trouble. But your little brother pursued a female executive of my company and threw his tantrum at me just because he got rejected, disturbing our company's banquet with his men as well as attacking us. I don't think there's any way to make this big issue smaller." "Then what do you want?" Chen Sirui knitted his brows. Tang Xiu turned to Scarblade Chang and lightly said, "Wake him up. Let his little brother tell him what I want." Scarblade Chang replied as he strode toward Chen Xian and gave him a few slaps. After waking him up, and ignoring Chen Sirui's anger, he loudly shouted, "Hey, Keto. Your big brother has admitted defeat before our boss. He wants to know how things should be done tonight. Tell your big brother how to end tonight's matter." After Chen Xian came to his senses, he saw the scene in front of him and immediately shouted, "Big brother, it's them. This punk is surnamed Tang. He..." "Shut the hell up." Chen Sirui sternly shouted and interrupted him. Stunned and shocked, Chen Xian stared at Chen Sirui in disbelief. He opened his mouth, but he couldn't utter anything. "Tell me, what the hell do they want?" Chen Sirui indifferently asked. Chen Xian turned his head to Tang Xiu before he faced his brother again. He fell into silence for a short while, as a mirthless smile slowly appeared on his face. He then shook his head and said, "Brother, I never thought that you would ask me such a ridiculous question while I got beaten up by others. Great, just great. I understand. 200 million. He wants 200 million as compensation. I can't get the money now, so you must help me. I'll pay you back later." Frowning, Chen Sirui turned to look at the middle-aged man beside him and then whispered something. As the middle-aged man left, he turned to Tang Xiu and then said, "The 200 million will be transferred to your account later. Are you satisfied now? Can I take my brother and the others? You're young Master Chan, right?" Tang Xiu chuckled and said, "Well, you're quite good considering you can endure that much. To people with such a disposition, especially if they are my enemies, I usually never let them go, for I am someone who always cut the weeds and dig up their roots. But today, in front of my company's top executives, I don't want to do so because I don't want them to think I'm too ruthless. Your little brother should feel fortunate. Promise me something, and then you can leave." "What?" asked Chen Sirui coldly. While pointing at Chen Sirui, Tang Xiu said in a cold and detached tone, "From today henceforth, your little brother is not allowed to step into Star City ever again. Otherwise, I don't mind paying your Chen family in Blue City a visit. Of course, if you, brothers, want to exact your revenge at me, feel free to do so. I want to see how much ability your Chen family has. One day in the future, you will perhaps experience it." Chen Sirui said indifferently, "All right. I accept your condition. Then go." Killing intent flashed in Tang Xiu's eyes as he said indifferently. Motioning his men with his hand, Chen Sirui and a dozen big men immediately propped up Chen Xian and their people and quickly left. Then, Tang Xiu turned to Long Zhenglin, Fei Shan, and Huang Su and lightly asked, "And you three, do you still have anything else to say?" Grinning, Long Zhenglin came to Tang Xiu and said, "Eldest brother, don't give me that distant look, will ya? I really didn't know that the person those Chen brothers provoked was you. Had I known, you wouldn't need to act. I myself would act to pack up those brothers." "Are you okay, now? If you are, I want a drink with you. It's been hard to meet you, so you are not allowed to refuse. I'll cry if you do so." Fei Shan and Huang Su exchanged looks, as Fei Shan then came to Tang Xiu, forced a smile and said, "Brother Tang, we both also didn't know, or else we wouldn't have come. If anything, we are friends. We don't want this trivial issue to affect our friendship." Staying silent for a moment, Tang Xiu then nodded and said, Zhang Lin is right. It's not a crime if you don't know. Go back first. I'll tell Kong Xia to send you all a few boxes of God's nectar tomorrow. I said that I'd send you good wine, didn't I? A pleasantly surprised expression appeared on Fei Shan's and Huang Su's faces. Huang Su grinned, Brother Tang, you're really worth befriending. If anything, we'll have a talk with the Chin brothers after we go back, telling them to stay honest. Nodding at him in response, Tang Xiu then watched the duo leave. Following that, he slowly got up, looked at the magnificent Tang Corp's top executives. He then said with a faint smile, I really apologize for the sudden accident tonight. But from tonight's accident, you guys let me realize that you are all good employees of my magnificent Tang Corporation. Thus, all the injured will be rewarded 10 million per person, whereas everyone else will receive 2 million each. And please, do take note of my words. If anyone bullies the brothers and sisters of our magnificent Tang Corp, any one of you willing to stand up and help will be rewarded by me. Thank you, boss. Scarblade Chang was the first to reply. His arm was wounded in the fight, hence he was also considered injured. The 10 million reward made him grin from ear to ear, and he couldn't help but laugh. Although he would be getting more than 10 million yuan as dividend from his shares of the winery, but he would only get the money by the end of the year. Furthermore, 10 million yuan was not a small amount for him, to begin with. At present, he couldn't help but admire himself for making the correct choice before. Thank you, boss. Thank you, boss. The other top executives of the company who also joined the fight, even those who were not injured, were pleasantly surprised, as well as grateful. At this time, the way they looked at Tang Xiu was completely different than before. Boss is generous. This fact made them very happy. In only a night, their salaries had risen by 10%, and they also got rewards ranging from 2 million to 10 million yuan as well. It was just like a dream. Those who didn't join in the fight looked quite vexed, and now deeply regret it. Had they joined the fray, even if they didn't help much, they could still have gotten a handsome reward. As for the female executives, they felt fortunate. Though they quite regretted it, yet they were still able to calm themselves down. But the timid male executives only felt their face burning, regret churning their insides. They felt like their colleagues were looking at them with contempt. They felt like drilling themselves into a burrow. All right. Those injured, go to the hospital for further treatment, whereas those who not injured are to help take them there. Tang Xiu waved his hand and said, as for Kong Xia and Andy, you two stay behind. Everyone else, go back first. A few minutes later, everyone had left, leaving only Kong Xia, Andy, and Long Zhenglin, who stood smilingly next to him. Kong Xia wore a smiling expression, while Andy looked a bit uneasy. After all, it all happened because of her. What she was most afraid of was that Tang Xiu would hate her. While looking at Andy's pitiful expression, Tang Xiu could only sigh inwardly. Regardless, he was still very satisfied since Andy also joined the fight before. Kong Xia, starting from today, you and Andy must have at least 4 bodyguards following each of you. 2 of them are to stay in the light, while the other 2 will be in the dark. Those Chens are not friendly chaps, and I'm afraid they will attack you 2 out of desperation. Additionally, send 2 men to secretly follow and protect Scarblade Chang as well. Tang Xiu instructed. No problem. Kong Xia nodded and said, consider it done. Tang Xiu then looked at Andy and sighed, Andy, the incident this time was not caused by you. It was because Chun Cien was too unbridled. Don't hesitate to act in the same way if you were to encounter a similar situation again in the future. Just beat them up if you want to, and I'll do what I can do to support you. Upon hearing this, Andy raised her head to look at Tang Xiu. Mist covered her limpid, big eyes. She then quickly wiped her eyes and repeatedly nodded, saying, Boss, thanks a lot for not disliking me because of today's matter. That makes me very happy. I'll listen to you, I'll listen to everything you say, and will do everything you instruct me to do. Tang Shou couldn't help but burst into laughter. All right, you're the magnificent Tang Corp's financial department head, so stop acting like a little girl, okay? You and Kong Xia are my people, how could I dislike you? As a matter of fact, I also want to praise you for doing very well in another area, better than Kong Xia. At the side, after hearing Tang Shou's words, Long Jinglin was amazed. Did I hear wrong or something? Eldest brother, you took both bells, Kong Xia, and the little angel, Andy? They are your women. What the hell? Tang Shou cussed, what gibberish are you spouting? No one ever said that. Are you dumb or something? Ugh. Long Zhanglin scratched his head and foolishly laughed, realizing that he had misunderstood. Chapter 430, The thought to retaliate is breeding. Kong Xia was rather helpless at the moment. She now realized that not only did Tang Shou value her and Andy's ability to run the company, but also attached importance to their cultivation. I'll definitely work hard, boss. Kong Xia seriously said. Remember your words, for I hope to see you reach Andy's level soon. Tang Shou said with a smile, when you have reached it I'll take you to visit Jingmen Island. Okay. Kong Xia always wanted to visit the Everlasting Feast Hall's HQ in Jingmen Island. Tang Shou's promise made that wish stronger, spurring her to work harder from now on. You two gotta get back too. Tang Shou waved his hand and said, anyways, I'll be going back to Shanghai early in the morning. The issues in the magnificent Tang Corp, as always, will be handed over to you. You're going back to Shanghai tomorrow, boss? Kong Xia said quickly, then, when will you come back? Relax. Tang Shou said a smile, it's September 20th now. I'll be back on holiday in November. After hearing that, Kong Xia suddenly smiled and nodded, all right, we'll take our leave first then. Take good care of your health, boss. Tang Shou nodded and smiled in reply. After Kong Xia and Andy left, Long Jinglin rubbed his chin and smirked, well, I dare say that Kong Xia has definitely fallen for you, brother. Her eyes, expression, and tone when speaking to you are definitely the appearance of a woman who hates to part with her lover. Second young Master Long, it's been some time since we last met, I just realized you have made progress in speaking honeyed words. Tang Shou said with a smile, tell me something, you went to play around Blue City recently, did you get something good after fooling around there? The smile on Long Jinglin's face solidified. A short while after, he scratched the back of his head, forced out a smile and said, big bro, can we skip talking about this sad topic? Well, I gotta remind you, buddy. Though you're forthright and loyal to your buddies, that sort of approach kind of courts disaster and causes you to easily become enemies with others. If anything, you gotta stop fooling around, buddy. Your Long family is illustrious enough, but there still are many big families in the country that are far stronger and more terrifying. Again, the smile on Long Jinglin's face came to a halt. He was not a fool and slow-witted person. He had thought about something through tonight's matter. Now, when he heard Tang Shou's words, he silently nodded and said, yeah, I have thought about that too, eldest brother. You know your own heart the best. Tang Shou laughed and said, anyways, I haven't had a bite the whole night. Let's go. Didn't you want to take me to your place for a meal? Huh? Long Jinglin was pleasantly surprised. You wanna go with me, bro? My clothes are covered all over with blood. My parents will surely interrogate me when I got home. Tang Shou unbuttoned his coat and took it off, saying, so, let's get to your place. I need to take a shower, and then we will have some wine. I got some God's nectar stuffed in my car's trunk. Long Jinglin's eyes lit up as he walked alongside Tang Shou outside. He chuckled and then grinned, eldest brother, you promised to give some God's nectar to Fei Shan and Huang Su. Don't tell me you're disregarding me in favor of the others? No matter what, I want 10, no. I want 20 boxes of God's nectar. All right, I'll give you 30 boxes. Tang Xiu glanced at him and lightly said, but you'll give 10 boxes to your old man and 10 boxes to your big brother. Suddenly, as if recalling something, he took his mobile phone out and dialed Kong Xia's cell number. After Kong Xia answered the call, he spoke, find the time to send God's nectar to Qin Zhizhong and Yuan Jingxian in these next 2 days. 10 boxes each. Okay. Kong Xia chuckled and softly said. Also, prepare 5 boxes for me and send someone to deliver it to Southgate Town. Tang Xiu said, I'll take them to Shanghai tomorrow. Okay, got it. Kong Xia promised again. After ending the call, Tang Xiu and Long Jinglin walked out of Long's dining hall. Under the security's odd gazes, he took the car keys from one of the security guards, entered the car and left. The villa Long Jinglin lived in was located in the vicinity of Star City University. Whether it was the location or the environment, it was simply excellent. Tang Xiu learned from Long Jinglin that he chose to buy this villa because it was easy for him to chase female students from Star City University, Star City's Yalong Garden. The place was an upscale residential complex of Star City. Although it was not a single villa, those who could afford to buy a house there were counted as riches. Chen Sirui usually stayed here when he came to Star City. Normally, every time Chen Sirui came here, he was feeling either calm or joyful. But today, his face was ice cold, while his heart was blazing with anger. But, Chen Xian behind him had a bloody nose and a swollen face, and he hardly looked like before. After entering the house, he started smashing things in a rage. Brother, just tell me. Why? Chen Xian's eyes were as though able to spray flame. After venting his anger, he panted and gasped, bellowing at Chen Sirui. As for Chen Sirui, he sat at the sofa and pointed to the sofa opposite him. He then lightly said, I wouldn't have let Tang Xiu stand still and walk out of the hotel if it were in Blue City, even if I had to use everything I had. But Star City is their turf. No matter what, however strong a dragon may be, it can never suppress the local snakes. You should clearly know about this as well. Fucking fart. Chen Xian roared, that Tang Xiu is very strong, but the people around him were nothing but a fucking mob. I'll never believe that our Chen family is inferior to him. Do you think I would compromise if it were only Tang Xiu? Chen Sirui coldly snorted. Who else could it be? Chen Xian looked blank as he asked with a stiff expression. The Long family. Chen Sirui said. Are you fucking kidding me, brother? Chen Xian shouted, Long Jinglin is just a good-for-nothing playboy, can he even represent the Long family? Compared to you, I am much clearer about the disposition of the Long family's head, Long Hanwen. Chen Sirui said indifferently, he's a doting parent. If Long Jinglin were to intervene, and we had clash against him, we will inevitably face Long Hanwen's retaliation. Furthermore, Long Jinglin has clearly said that he has shares in the magnificent Tang Corporation. That company has several types of products, and each one of them could earn quite an amount of profit. Thus, if we were to disturb the interests of the company, it will be equal to strike at the Long family's interests as well. Facing this situation, don't you think if we acted in Star City without thinking about the consequences, the Long family wouldn't act as well? Chen Xian fell into silence. In normal times, he was very astute and intelligent. The very reason he was so reckless tonight was because he got totally muddle-headed due to a broken heart. And now, after thinking about it further, he knew that what his big brother said made sense. Then, should we just suffer in silence? Our Chen family never had the custom of suffering losses. Chen Sirui sneered, that Tang Xiu acted crazily tonight, but I'll make sure to make him cry one day. Just wait, that day won't be too far away. Knock, knock, Right as his voice fell, hard knocks sounded from the door. Chen Sirui got up and opened the door. When he saw Huang Su and Fei Shan standing outside, he immediately frowned and coldly said, What the hell do you want? Fei Shan forced a smile and said, I want to tell you something. That's why I came here. Chen Sirui was silent for a moment before walking inside. After Huang Su and Fei Shan entered the living room, the duo sat directly facing Chen Sirui. Fei Shan then straightforwardly said, "Sirui, listen to me. Just let tonight's incident end here and now. Don't ever think to retaliate. Just consider it as you spending some money to learn a lesson." That's right. We also haven't figured out clearly about Tang Xiu's background so far. Huang Su also nodded, so you had better dispel any ideas of revenge. Like people say, it's better to get rid of an enmity than keep it alive. Besides, we're all businessmen, to begin with. Maybe you, him, and we will cooperate in some way in the future. If the two of you only came to persuade me, I want you to scram now. Chen Sirui coldly said, that punk surname Tang has gone too far, I absolutely can never let it go. You said you don't know his background clearly, then I will investigate him. I want to know how much he has in store. Huang Su and Fei Shan exchanged looks as they forced out wry smiles. After staying silent for a short period of time, Fei Shan then slowly asked, "Brother Sirui, you should know about Star City's Jing family back then, right?" Chen Sirui frowned, and then lightly said, "Was it the Zhang family that was decimated, and their group of companies was then divided by some people?" "Yes. I'm talking about that Zhang family." Fei Shan nodded. "I know about them. But what are you saying, exactly?" Chen Sirui coldly said. "What I want to tell you is the reason as to why the Zhangs were exterminated." Fei Shan solemnly said that many forces acting simultaneously to destroy the Zhang family was entirely because of Tang Xiu. Now, I want to ask you something. Is your Chen family able to uproot and decimate the Zhangs within such a short period of time? Chen Sirui's countenance changed, and then he said in a deep and heavy voice, "Fei Shan, we're all friends. I never once thought for you to make up this reason just because you don't want me to retaliate. If you think what I told you is a farce I deliberately made up, I can leave at once." Fei Shan sneered, "But what I know is far from what your Chen family can investigate." Chen Sirui's eyes flickered and a glint flashed from them. His expression and tone then eased as he said, "Continue." The reason as to why Tang Xiu had a conflict with the Zhangs was because of Zhang Deqin and Zhang Yongjin, the Zhang's younger generation. The two siblings wanted Tang Xiu's life, thus, Tang Xiu then simply contacted all those forces to deal with the Zhang family. As far as I know, Star City's Endless Virtue Pharmaceuticals' big boss, Chen Zhizhong, is Tang Xiu's disciple, while the Long family and Tang Xiu have a very close relationship. That new city project is also very deeply related with him. As for the other forces, I think you might have guessed it already. No, I didn't. Chen Sirui furrowed his brows. The architectural design blueprint for the new city was devised from Tang Xiu's hand. Fei Shan said lightly, and at present, the many domestic forces involved in the project were the forces who originally joined hands to destroy the Zhang family. Chen Sirui abruptly got up, disbelief covered all over his face. He then hurriedly said, "You mean, the Jingmen Islands Ouyang family, the Chu family of Beijing, the Bai family, and the Miao group of Haiqing, as well as some other mysterious forces, once participated in the incident of the Zhang family's destruction?"